Hey guys, what's going on? Put something in the comments just so I can make sure I can see your comments. Hey Cherry, BB, what's going on? Yeah, welcome to the first. This is my first live stream, so I'm really glad that you guys. So I'm really glad that you guys. I'm really glad that you guys. I'm glad that you guys. Better? Okay. What's going on, everybody? Who's that? Zachary, what's going on? Yeah, the Yankees won, took it 2-1, one of the lowest scoring games of the season, obviously. But the story today to me was Gerrit Cole. I mean, he was money today, absolute money, right? I mean, 5 2/3 innings pitch, and they were going to keep him on some kind of innings or count or pitch count or whatnot. I didn't realize I had it on my live stream came on two different links at the same time. So my apologies for the echo there. It's all gone now. If you hear it, let me know in the comments. And but that was pretty funny. I hate hearing myself twice at the same time. But anyway, Cole was gangster tonight. 5 2/3. 9 strikeouts, 2 hits, 1 walk. He was been sitting between 97 and 99. His off-speed stuff was nasty. And with the exception of a solo shot by Justin Upton in the first off a 99-mile-an-hour pitch, he was on it tonight. He was on it. And that's vintage Gerrit Cole. And he stopped at 90 pitches. They pulled him out. He was going to be on some kind of pitch count anyway, because coming back from COVID, and one of the things that are affected after coming back from COVID is your stamina. So I'm not surprised at that. I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they transition him back over the next 2 or 3 starts back to kind of a normal pitching routine. Was that Luke Voigt gets traded? Yeah, Zach, man. Yeah, I mean, where do you think Luke Voigt should go? And who do you think he should get traded for? I originally thought, and actually Cashman had 3 deals for Luke Voigt, and one of the acquiring teams pulled out 2 minutes before the deadline. So he was this close to getting traded. And so that was a surprise to me. I thought he was going to get moved for maybe some starting pitching or some decent prospects. So the way I see it is, if they don't bring him back, then they either have 2 options. They either have to re-sign Rizzo and play him at first base, but then what do they do with DJ, right? And if they don't bring back Rizzo and they trade Voigt, then you move DJ to first, you bring Glaber back to second, and then maybe they're going to sign like a Corey Seager or something like that for shortstop maybe. And it gives them another lefty, young lefty in the lineup. So that's my logic behind it. But you guys let me know. I mean, do you think – what would you do with Voigt? I mean, what do we got here? Yeah, Jesus, what's up, brother? First live stream. We're going to do it on the regular now, man. Welcome, guys. It's your first time to the channel. Welcome. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I hope you enjoyed enough to come back. And I really enjoyed talking to you guys. But now I want to have some live dialogue and answer some questions and on the fly and all that stuff, so we can have some chat here. BB, what do we got? Oval Bomber, trade Glaber to Toronto. Ooh, Glaber to Toronto for Bo Bichette. Man, I don't know if Toronto would do that. You probably have to add something to the Glaber Torres for Bichette. I mean, what do you guys think of that one? That's a ballsy trade. I think you'd have to give more than Torres, in my opinion. Yeah, Justin as well. And Bichette is a stud. Even though Torres is not a free agent until 2025, so he's got 3 more seasons of control after this. I could see him being moved, but if Luis Castillo's still pitching well, I could see him being moved to Cincinnati, because they still don't have a full-time shortstop. So, and I would only move him for like a controllable starting pitcher, of somebody of a top, a number 1 or number 2 of caliber, and that kind of package. But, well, it's a good joke, man. Brewer's not, yeah. G Taylor 621. Brewer's not a bad idea, because they don't have a full-time shortstop either. And they've had a lot of injury issues this season in the infield. So Torres to the Reds, and the Yankees get a good starting shortstop free agent. If that happens, my guess would be, I would go after, if I were Cashman, I would go after Corey Seager. Young, he's one of the younger shortstops coming out, and he's a lefty. So they just need that lefty-righty balance in the lineup. And I think he would be good. And he's got clutch postseason experience, and take a flyer. You know what? Tim King of Jordans. I was thinking the same thing, taking a flyer on Justin Verlander, either as a long reliever or starter. And what do you have to lose? You can even get him maybe on a low base with a bunch of incentives that can shoot his salary up if he lasts the season or most of the season or innings pitched or whatever. And you put him with Cole. I mean, like, if he's on, man, that's as good as Cole Scherzer. Like, that's a nasty one too, and it really is a nasty. Brewers have Willie Adams. That's true, Jesus. But I would definitely, I would take a flyer on Verlander no matter what. If they can, and I would watch out Houston maybe to try to get him back, or I wouldn't be surprised if a team like the Dodgers went after him. Because I don't think I don't think Trevor Bauer is going to come back. I really don't. I think this is a second accusation now. This is just getting really ugly. And, that's why I think getting Scherzer was a preemptive move. I think they knew they probably weren't going to get Bauer back. So that's my guess on the Scherzer trade. But the Scherzer and Trey Turner, that was a ridiculous blockbuster. That's good for them. Stanton back to the Stanton. Well, I think Derek Jeter is of the opinion that he fleeced the Yankees, and I don't know if he would take him back unless the Yankees eat more than half his contract. Castillo is looking like he took the next step. I agree. He does. I mean, he had a rough start to the season and a much better second, half so far. And he's trending back in the right direction. He looks like a number 1 or a number 2 pitcher again. And again, I think Cole needs a compliment to him at that point. It can't be him and then like Miles and Miles. And as much as I like Taillon or Nestor Cortez and these guys, they're a mile behind Gerrit Cole. So we need somebody like somebody up there right next to him, somebody that people fear. And again, I like the mustache. I like Taillon. I like Heel, but Heel's young, can't put that much pressure on him. So Severino, I'm of the opinion, and I said this a lot, he needs to go into the bullpen and spot start and go long relief until next year. And he's a guy, like if you stayed with Heel and you threw him 4 innings or something like that, you could transition to Severino or transition to Domingo Germán and do it that way as well. So as a way of clearing up some spots for playoffs. But they're going to wind up probably going with a 3 or 4 man rotation. What do we got? Zachary Goldstein, Jeter to unretire because yeah, Jeter or if you need a first baseman, get Tino out of retirement, right? He was one of the big time clutch hitters. And if Gio doesn't have it can't come back healthy, you try and get Scott Brocious for third base. Those 2 guys were money. Brocious and Tino were absolute ice in the veins money for the Yankees. And those guys came through all the time. What do we got here? Thinking of Jordan's. Definitely even try to sign. Noah Syndergaard. Actually, he's going to be a free agent too. I know he's had a setback recently, but he's a guy that I would consider bringing into. And he's not that old. I think he's 30 or 31, so he's really not that old. So there's a lot of guys. Gil could be a great number 3, and Yankees play doubleheader tomorrow. Yeah, it's Heel and Montgomery for both games. So it was originally supposed to be Heel and Heaney, but I think Heaney's moved to Wednesday. And then it's Heel and Montgomery tomorrow. So Montgomery's back also. So we have 2 of the rotation reinforcements back. Kluber is on his way back too, but I see him needing a couple of weeks to kind of get back into a groove. And I don't know. I actually don't know if he'll make the postseason rotation. We have to see how well he does. But he gave us what he gave us. I don't see him being back next year either. We need healthy guys. So thankfully we have an option on Taillon for next year. And speaking of pitching, well, the bullpen. So there's a mutual option for Zach Britton that they've already exercised, the team and Britton. So now he'll be back next year for $14 million, and Chapman has one more option at $16 million for next year. So I could see one of them or maybe both of them being moved this offseason. But if one of them gets moved, probably Chapman. Because I can see, and Britton, if you look at his body of work before this year, he's had like 3 seasons of consecutive like 2.0 or sub-2 ERA with the Yankees. So he's been money and he's been consistent. And right now, it's essentially his spring training. He's still building up to get his velocity and to get his stuff back. So that's one reason why he's so all over the place and just not good, and his confidence isn't there. But I was glad to see that Boone put him in today in a kind of a lower leverage situation to get somebody out. So, and that was a big strikeout for him. And I think it'll be a confidence booster too. Try to steal Trevor. Mike Rotunda. Yeah, but I don't know. Honestly, Mike, I don't know if they want the baggage that's going to come along with it. I really don't. And I don't know that. I think there was a reason why Gerrit Cole didn't like him and was vocal about it. So, it's kind of becoming apparent why. And now I'm finding out that his teammates can't stand him either in the Dodgers. So they're not going to be disappointed if he doesn't come back either. And replacing him with Scherzer, that's a hell of a replacement. So I don't see him coming back this season. Trevor Story, Jace, he's possible too. The only guy that I see getting picked before Story would be Seager because he's younger and he's lefty, and he's also clutch in the postseason, and those are kind of skill sets and I think intangibles that the Yankees would need. And I think Seager I think is 27, 28. Story's going to be 31. So I think the Yankees would rather pay for those 3-year difference in prime years than not prime years. But either one of them is going to cost a boatload of money. So but either one would be good. But I would go with Seager. Justin King, Yanks don't need Story. Well, you're right. They need to tighten up the outfield and pitching. Absolutely. I would bring in a frontline starter and take a flyer on Justin Verlander if they could. And outfield, I don't see Brett Gardner coming back. I think he'll have his send off at the end of the year. Tim LeCastro, I don't know. Judge Gallup Stanton. I mean, there's like the dichotomy between the outfield is kind of strange, but I would keep. They need to play Greg Allen. I like this kid Jonathan Davis. He doesn't hit as well as Allen does, but he's one of the faster, best defensive center fielders out in baseball. So I can see why they kept him around. He made a killer catch to save a run to keep the score at 2-1 in the 6th inning today, to kind of save the game, actually. So it was a hell of a catch that he made. Zachary, we need Kershaw. Well, you know what? Kershaw, I think, is a free agent at the end of the season, too. I think he has an opt-out, right? If I'm not mistaken, or he's just a free agent at the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers brought him back for like 3 or 4 years, but he could be good. I'm just afraid of a transition over to the American League. I'm not sure how well he'll do at this point. But if he does well and he comes to the Yankees, I mean, he could be good. Verlander would be my first pick because he's playoff tested. He's just ballsy, and he's money. He's money when it counts. So I like the attitude, his attitude, and I think he complements Gerrit Cole extremely well. Jack C, do the Yanks go full-time with Gallo, Judge, and Stanton next year and keep Voit at DH? It depends on if they move Voit. It really does. If they move Voit for pitching or prospects, then you have an opportunity to move. I think you have an opportunity to rotate, actually, the DH. You play Stanton in the outfield a little bit. You rotate him at DH. You rotate Judge in the outfield, DH. You even rotate Sanchez, who has one more year catching in DH as well. And I would bring in, if they don't keep Higashioka, they have to bring in a better defensive catcher. But that's what I would do. I would have rotating DHs and even give other guys like DJ and some of the older players a chance to either have a day off and play DH too. Yeah, Mike, man, I haven't seen a Yankee center fielder make up that much range. It's Bernie Williams used to do it, but aside from him, like Gerald Williams was really fast, but this guy's like a track athlete. Man, he's like a wide receiver. He's got wheels, man. So I like to see him on the base paths. If he can actually hit the freaking ball, get on base and steal some bases, I'd like to see that. Yeah, I mean, Gardy, but too many center fielders proving themselves. It's true. It's true. I mean, I think this is Gardy's going to have his swan song. They should retire his number, or at least have a Brett Gardner day or something at the end of the season. Maybe not retire his number, but he's the most tenured Yankee. This is his 15th year. And, they should have, at the very least, have a Brett Gardner day and kind of say thank you. And he's been a great Yankee, so he really has. We should force Jacoby Ellsbury. Dude, that contract, man, I think he played 2 out of 7 years of that contract. It was ridiculous. So if you think about it, he made $153 million in like 2 years. $76.5 million over 2 freaking years. What a shit contract, man. Oh my God. Disaster. And I said this, that's my fear about Judge. He's clutch, face of the franchise, but my fear is if they sign him long-term when he's 31 or 32, the same thing is going to happen. And if he has to transition to DH and we have Stanton there, he's going to be blocked. And then we're going to have 2 older, gigantic guys aging that need to play DH. That's my fear about signing Judge long-term. I think somebody is going to overpay him. That's why I suggested at least entertaining the possibility or entertaining offers for him this offseason. Because you might get a haul back. You can get a haul back for him. You can get a haul back for Gleyber Torres. So this would be the time to move them if they decide to do that. But I know it's unpopular with a lot of people, but there are 2 different ways. I mean, I know he's a moneymaker. He's got the judges' chambers and he's the face of the franchise. I get it, but he's got 1 year left. He's going to be 31. That's my fear. And he's a big dude, and he gets hurt on a regular basis. This is the first time this year since 2017 that he's playing mostly a full season. He hasn't played more than 112 games since 2017, so that's my biggest concern. Mike Rotunda, what did you hear, Austin? Not exactly. Oh, Austin, Mike, I missed that. Kluber. Kluber is progressing. He has another rehab start. he's progressing slowly, but again, I see him coming back in another week or two, maybe, and he's going to need a few starts, short inning starts, if in my opinion. We could have Stanton, Justin King. We could have Stanton, Jallo, Judge, and we could, and platoon Odor and Voit and DH for this season. We could at DH. I mean, I like Odor better at second than I do at third. I know he has to play third right now because Gio's out, and he's made a couple of good plays, but he's also made some errors. And I said this before. He's had a little bit of throwing issues. He reminds me of Chuck Knobloch. They both had throwing issues. Like, he had it from third because he's not a natural position player at third. Chuck Knobloch had him. He was throwing the ball into the stands from second base. Like, he hit a lady. It was all in his head. But I'll give them both this. Both of them made up for it quite a bit offensively. Clutch hits, clutch home runs. And Odor, we're paying him like $12 for the season. So that value, I think he's second. No, he's third, I think, with in the home runs right now for the Yankees behind Judge and Stanton. And Gallo, he's fourth, excuse me. But he's been clutch for that cheap salary. He's making minimum wage. So it's like, you can't, unless there's a clear upgrade, I don't see him being moved. But if we could figure out a way to rotate him, he's got another year next year, and Texas is paying 99.8% of it. So you might as well keep him around unless we bring in a clear upgrade. Yeah, he's making a rehab start this week, Austin. Yeah, you're right. Richard Pavano. Oh, Pavano was brutal, man. That was the worst 4-year pitching contract I've ever seen it for. It was just, what did he throw? 6 games, and then had a 140 pitch start in Miami or somewhere, Minnesota, and then it was like everything after that was just, I never heard it from him again. It was ridiculous. I missed it. Yeah, Cashman said he could be back in the rotation by last week. Yeah, he could, Mike. Proud by chance. Odor was putting the team. He was carrying the team. Like, there were a couple guys carrying the team. And I mean, Judge carried him this past week. He really did. He did extremely well. Stanton carried him in the playoffs last season. Odor carried him for a good chunk of this season, like, because DJ was inconsistent, and he's still working his way back to being like normal DJ. So and that's why I'm glad that they have so much depth, and I'm glad they have so many guys coming back, like Gio once he gets back, and Torres once he comes back. Like, there's a lot of reinforcements, and they're better than replacement players. So they need to figure out a way to kind of play all of them or rotate them all at the same time. And because then it would be a really hard lineup to get through 1 through 9. You're looking at like a Padres or a Dodgers type lineup at that point. So, they have enough depth to go far. They've shown it. Like, a hobbled Yankee team just beat the White Sox 2 out of 3. Now they need to do the same thing to Houston. They need to do the same thing to Tampa. But White Sox were the first big test. Now they need to prove it against those two guys, those two teams, and I'll have more faith in the Yankees. But there is an outside shot that they can go after the division. I just don't. They're going to have to make a ridiculous run because I don't see Tampa slowing down that much. Jack C., who's my all-time favorite surprise Yankee player who helped the team when it mattered most? Shane Spencer was one of them. I like that pitch. Sean Chacon and John Lieber, they were there at the same time. Like, they were no names, and then they came in and they were phenomenal pitchers in the rotation for like a year and a half, and they were like no names, and they were fantastic. They were clutch. Scott Brocious was an unheralded player before he came here, and then he turned into freaking Brooks Robinson. Homer Bush, too, is very underrated, but he always got like a key stolen base here and there. It always put them in a position to win. And Luis Sojo, another like unheard of guy, and he always got these freaking key hits. And it's guys like that like Gene Michael and Brian Cashman did a great job of bringing in these guys. And that's one reason I like guys like Odor and Greg Allen and some of these dudes, because I feel like they have the same type of intangibles. And who's my favorite? Austin Heaney. Yeah, Heaney hasn't been, I mean, he just doesn't have it, honestly. Like, he doesn't have it here. He kind of reminds me, but I'll give him this. In the 3 starts that he's thrown, they've been shitty starts, but he's gone through 6 innings. So he's given the bullpen a little bit of a break instead of going 2 or 3 innings and coming out. He's given up 5, 6, and 7 runs, I think, but he's gone to 6 innings. So he's given him some length. His ERA is like 9,000, but he's given him length. So, and unfortunately, and I think he's willing to just sit there and take the beating. And as frustrating it is for him and for us, but he's won, I think, one of those games. So he's 1-2. Yeah, Luis Sojo, that's right, man. Aaron Small, another one. He was like 14-0 or something like that when he came here for that season. Good Jaxie, good names, man. Good picks, boy. I tell you. Yeah, Scott Brocious was big time clutch. I was at game was it game 3 of the World Series when he hit that key? Or was it game 2? No, it was game 3. I was at game 3, I think, when George Bush threw out the first pitch. We got there at 30 minutes before the game, and I didn't get into the game until the 3rd inning because of the Secret Service and the security. It was ridiculous. And I was at the game, I think it might have been game 4, where he hit the home run off of Kim, the reliever, and to kind of put him up or tie the game. I was at that game. It was either 3-4 or 3-5. And ridiculous World Series. Right after 9, it was a ridiculous World Series. Never want to say, I don't blame you, Justin. I really don't. 15 innings, 15 hits. And yeah, it's just like, his ERA is like 9 million. It's just like, what are you going to do? Thank God Gallo hit. I mean, one of the things I need to say about Gerrit Cole, the lineup needs to give this guy some run support. I mean, they've given Heaney run support, and he still sucks. They don't give Gerrit Cole run support. Like, they are, I think now they're 500 with him starting games. He's 11-6. But it's just like I call it the JDT, Jacob deGrom treatment. Like, deGrom, he comes and he throws like a one run game or shutout, but the Mets don't score and they lose 1-0 like 20 times a year. It's brutal, and he still has a 1.8 ERA, strikes at 250 guys, and the Mets still can't win. He's like 8-15. He wins a Cy Young Award with like 11 wins. It's ridiculous, but he's that good. It's just like the Mets need to give him run support. The Yankees need to give Cole run support because he's much better with a lead. And like you can see today, he held down that lead. He was just money, absolute money. So, bro, I was little. Every older Yankee fan that comes. I was at Cone's perfect game too. With my mom. I was also at David Wells' perfect game. I was at Jim Abbott's no-hitter, the guy with the one arm who threw the no-hitter. I was sitting behind home plate with my mom with a big green cowboy hat against the Cleveland Indians. I was at that game. I was at when they clinched the World Series in 2009 against the Phillies. I was sitting in the bleachers. When they clinched the World Series in 1999 when they swept the Braves, when Clemens pitched off that hobbled leg, I was at that game too. So I was lucky enough to be at a lot of clutch games. I was also at Game 6 of the 2000 ALCS when David Justice hit that big home run off Arthur Rhodes to put them in the Subway Series against the Seattle Mariners. I was at that game too. Right behind us in the box was Don Mattingly. My mom and I used to have season tickets in the loge section. We went to all these games, man. So I'm really, really lucky and thankful for that. Shutting down Ohtani was yeah, man. Absolutely, Justin. I mean, key strikeouts. He struck out quite a few times. I mean, Joely struck him out. Cole struck him out. They needed to keep that bat down. And I didn't want Cole to be the guy that served up his 40th home run either. I really didn't. I really didn't. So I'm glad that Justin, you're at Kluber's no-hitter. That's awesome, dude. It's nothing like being at a no-hitter. I went to the Dodgers-Phillies game in Philadelphia when Josh Beckett was with the Dodgers and he no-hit them in the Philly Stadium, in their own stadium. So I was at that no-hitter too. That was ridiculous. My wife's a Phillies fan, unfortunately. So, but that's okay. And I was at that no-hitter too. Justice game, Mike, dude, right? Big time clutch home run, man. I mean, Justice was money for the Yankees. He really was. He really, really was. Let's go. A's are winning. And if we can win the series against, yeah, man. Yeah. DLZ, yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. We got to at least take 2 out of 3 from the Sox. I think we can. If we sweep them, even better. And we can just slowly kind of crawl our way up towards Tampa Bay. There's a shot they'll win, especially when the reinforcements start coming back. Ohtani is a top 5 player in baseball. ABC, absolutely. Absolutely. Top 5. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Richard Gandia. You keep Judge, Stanton, Gallo, and a shortstop and a starter with another right pitching champion. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it, man. What else we got here? Steve. Any news? Steve McLean. Sevy. Yeah, Sevy. He went back to New York for an MRI on his shoulder. And Aaron Boone did not want to go into the specifics today. So that to me tells me there's something that probably popped up. And this is something, you're coming back from Tommy John surgery, and that's enough, which is UCL, which is inside of the arm here, getting that repaired here. And then what happens is And it's just like lower body injuries too. If you pull a right hamstring, you tend to compensate, and you can cause injuries to the left hamstring over time. And similar things happen when you're coming back from Tommy John surgery. You make these adjustments to your mechanics. It's one reason why Jameson Taillon kept getting hurt. He kept making these, and his delivery was crazy, and that's where he had to have a second Tommy John. I think Severino had to do the same thing. He was compensating in areas which caused an issue in the groin, which caused him to compensate again, which caused issue with his shoulders now. So I feel bad for Sevy because he hasn't really pitched in a game in like almost 3 years. But again, if he comes back, if he can make it back, he has to be in the bullpen. Even if they get 2 innings of absolute darts from him at 100 miles an hour, I'll take that. And if he's going to be a starter, it has to be next year. He has to prove he can be at full strength for a couple of months before we put him in the rotation. Richard, Rizzo. If they re-sign Rizzo, they have to trade Voit. That's the only way I can see it happening. And Voigt's kind of making it hard for them right now, even though he had a rough game today, but he's trying to make it as hard for them as possible to move on from him. And he also has 3 years of team control. He's not a free agent until 2025, so he's on a cheap deal. Rizzo's probably going to cost 4 years close to $70 to $80 million. So the price differential between the two is going to be big. But Rizzo, I could see him being here, and he gives that lineup balance. But I could also see if for some reason they make a move at shortstop and they move Torres and get like a Seager, then I can see them keeping Voit to have a one lefty, one righty, and not re-signing Rizzo. I could see that happening too. So there's 2 different scenarios that I could see happening. I would be happy with either, but Rizzo he's been good here. I hope he comes back at full strength, and I hope he can continue to produce. And I hope they can figure out a way to put both of them in the lineup at the same time. ABC. Yeah, Rizzo's going to turn into a DH. I agree too. Even though he's money at first base, he's defensively gifted at first base. He really is. He's like a vacuum right now. He sucks up the ball. Get Corey Seager and yeah. That's what I would do if they keep Voit, then you get Seager and you move. And when it also ties up DJ, what do you do with DJ? If you move him to third, what do you do with Gio? So there's a little bit of a log jam. So I think they need to make a decision with Rizzo and Voit, or Rizzo, any 2 of Rizzo, Voit, and Torres. They have to make a decision of 2 of the 3, in my opinion. So we'll see what they do, man. We'll see what they do. But I think he's going to go back to the Cubs. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to the Cubs. Not at all. I mean, that's his spot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Bryant goes back there either. Although he's going to get a big contract, so I could see him going somewhere else. Maybe even to the Dodgers, and they can trade Justin Turner. I heard the Padres are interested in Justin Turner, but we'll see. We'll see. But I don't know how that makes sense because you have Machado at third and Tatis. Although Tatis is moving to the outfield now, you could essentially move Machado to short and put somebody like Justin Turner at third. So the Padres always figure out a way to do something. So like they signed Jake Arrieta today, who was released a couple days ago for more pitching depth. Chris going, yeah, Cherry. I could see Chris Bryant going to the Phillies, but maybe for like first base or something like that, because they have that young kid Alec Bohm, who is a stud, like a young stud over there, and he's a third baseman. So, I could see Bryant playing multiple positions, rotating third base, first base, outfield. He could do that as well. He's a multi-position guy. So, but I would not be surprised at all if he goes to the Phillies. I really wouldn't. Beef with Cubs. Does he? I didn't know that, Justin. Beef with the Cubs GM. I did not know that. I mean, he'll be an asset to any team, including the Yankees. He really would. But I'm just really glad that they won today. The bullpen came through. Joely came through, and Ryu came through for an inning and 2/3. Joely came and struck him out, and then they brought in Chad Green. He had a clean 9th inning, no runs. He did give up a hit, but no runs. That's, I think, a boost to his confidence. If we get him and Loaizaga back on track, I think they're going to be really, really good. And then which gives the Yankees a little bit more breathing room and flexibility. But I'm going to knock off in a minute or two because we've been going almost a half an hour. But I'm really happy that you guys stayed with me today. And this is awesome. So I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to do this. Let me know in the comments, how often do you want me to do a live one like this? Do you want me to do them after every game? Or do you want me to do them after every other game or something like that? Give me some insight, and I'll do that. Or if there's any other particular video that you want me to do live, I'll do that. But I'll probably keep it with a post game, so we can have an open discussion. But I feel Mike very good. Mike, I feel good about our chances in the playoffs if we make it too. If the team is at full strength, I don't remember them being at full strength until like since like the end of 2018, which is crazy. Like It's always one or the other, like Judge and Stan. It's somebody. And we have I think what did Meredith Marakovitz say today? 43 different stints to the IL this year so far, regular and COVID, which is insane. That's a lot of IL stints. It's ridiculous. Yankees versus Red Sox wild card game. I could see that. And could you imagine Gerrit Cole going up against Chris Sale, who's back now? That would be a nasty game, a really nasty game. I would be really excited to see that. I would bet on Cole though. I would bet on Cole in the Yankees lineup over. But I hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, it does. And I would rather them win the division because they have a better kind of playoff setup than if they win a wild card. But it is what it is. I mean, I'll put my money on Gerrit Cole any day anyway. But guys, thanks so much for coming and watching. And I'm looking forward to it. I'll be doing another video. I'll have another video coming out tomorrow morning. So take a look at that. That's going to be posted at 11 o'clock Eastern. So, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming on. Enjoy your night and do post game. All right, Richard, I can do post games. You want me to do every post game or every other post game? You guys let me know. Mike, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Best chat in Yankee land. I appreciate it, Justin. Guys, take a look at NYY recaps too. Derek Lewandowski. He does great post-game chats as well. Him and I do collaborations quite a bit, and he's one of the better YouTube Yankee channels out there and baseball channels. So, but I appreciate your support here, and you guys are the best, man. So enjoy your night. Talk to you next time.